to Ryan, Garrett, and Jonathan for jumping onto the podcast. And all the listeners can get a little background on them. If each one of you wants to give, quickly, what are your background and what are your journeys to being the senior account executives for the Indians?
Yeah, so my name's Jonathan Howard. I started with the organization as an intern way back in 2005, and then spent my first full-time season with the former Kansas City Wizards, now Sporting KC, and then I caught on here full-time again in 2007, and it's been happily ever after since then.
This is Garrett Rosh. I went to IUPUI. Thought I was going to get into event management, but there were no jobs. So I actually got hired on with Get Real Sports Sales, which was a third-party sales company with Jake Vernon back in 2011. So I did that for a little while, worked on projects with the Charlotte Bobcats, then over here to the Indians, the Colts, Butler, and then back here to the Indians. And after switching back and forth between Butler and the Indians twice, the Indians added me as their sixth sales rep back in November of 2013.
Very cool.
And I'm Ryan Barrett. I went to school at the University of Evansville, sports management major. Moved up here in 2008 with the ticket internship down in our ticket department, and fortunate enough to stay on the following year in a sales capacity role, and kind of just have been here since for 10 years and moved up to the senior role about 4 years ago.
That's awesome. And we'll talk a little bit more about, some of the changes that you guys have seen in sales. But, most professional sports teams are lucky to have 3 quality account executives with the tenure that you guys have. What is it about the culture or the environment with the Indians that makes it a place where you feel like you continue to grow and flourish?
Yeah, so what I found real quick was, first of all, the full-time staff gets along real well. It's always been a family kind of atmosphere. But as far as the organization is concerned in the city, it's really well respected. It's been here over 100 years. So the organization's really well respected. We're in a good location with the ballpark, and so just when I'm on the phone or when I'm out in public, everybody always has good things to say about the team, and I think that's been a significant thing to me in staying here and continuing my career here.
Yeah, I would say the organization just really values its employees and are open to new ideas. And as you know, everything changes in sales every 6 months, every year. They're always open to us trying new things, so we're not really locked down into doing things one certain way. So we really have our freedom, which is nice and growing. And then, like John said, it's a real family atmosphere. So our families are always out at the ballparks. As you know, we work very long hours, so we see who we work with sometimes more than our family. So families getting out to the ballpark's a big deal.
Yeah. The other reason Max Schumacher had such a good vision 50 years ago when he took over kind of Indians and started guiding what he wanted for Indianapolis Indians baseball in the city, and that vision has helped. And the market is so big here in Indianapolis, and a lot of people have seen the same vision, and they've kept it family friendly and affordable, and so that really helps, especially drive tickets for us, because it is family friendly and it is affordable, and people do love the atmosphere that we've created. And I think that to kind of go with what the other guy said with the family-friendly atmosphere that we create in-house too with our team as an organization, kind of people see that on the outside when they come to the games. It's how clean our ballpark is, how friendly our ushers are, how accommodating our staff is, and how we go out of the way and do the little things. So that helps.
And I think
that's cool.
Our family-friendly motto or creed that we work by here has actually paid dividends on the corporate side, because I now work with groups who say, oh, my family used to come out when I was little. I was a member of our Knothole Kids Club when I was growing up, and so I've always had a good view of the Indians. And so when our company asked about doing something, that was the first thing I thought of. So for something that just seems something small, for just bringing a family out, it's really paid dividends from the corporate side as well.
No, that's awesome. I think it's very easy to see when you're around your organization that you guys really live that. But a lot of times the execution of being family friendly, both in the office and in terms of what you're putting to customers, that takes a lot of effort and a lot of work. And that was something I saw with you guys that really needs to be commended with your organization as a whole, no doubt.
Oh, that's great.
So as each of you have continued to grow in your sales careers, and make sure you identify yourselves when you talk, who are your key influences in your sales career, and what about their specific styles or processes has really impacted you and made it something that you want to emulate?
Yeah, I'll start us off. This is Ryan. Yeah, so I'll start us off. I've only had one job, and it's been this. So Chad Bohm, who's now our director, really took me by his wings when I started, and really helped me get the concept of sales and the foundation of it. But really, I've always said that I've had some great sales training over 10 years, so I really compliment, like Brett, we've had you once or twice, which was fantastic. We've had Bill Gertine a few years, just multiple sales trainers come in and you learn. And then the other thing that I piggyback is I learned from Garrett, I learned from John, I learned from my coworkers. You have to adapt in this industry. If somebody else is finding success doing something, you can't hate it. You got to follow along, get in line, and try and keep up with those multiple aspects of type of sales.
Absolutely.
This is Garrett. So kind of going back to when I graduated, I thought I was going to be in event management, and there was no jobs. So I was scouring Teamwork Online, and Jake Vernon was starting to get real sports sales, and I had absolutely no sales training, and he totally took a shot in the dark with me, and it worked out. He would probably still tell you that I'm the worst that he's ever trained initially, but for some reason I stuck it out and it worked, and then I was able to move on to some other projects. But he always pushed our team and really helped us learn how to self-prospect our own leads, because we were calling teams that already had a sales team, and we were trying to uncover hidden gems and then their own single game buyers that they couldn't initially call. So we had to be really adept at asking the right questions to see, what type of groups they were a part of or what companies they worked with, to really get those larger accounts. So he was always very hands-on and pushed us to be the best that we could be, and I think that's really paid dividends for myself.
That's great. So for those who don't know, Jake Vernon is now the vice president of ticket sales for the Timberwolves and the Lynx, and is incredibly well respected within the industry, no doubt. That's great.
Brett, I don't really have a whole lot more to echo on top. I kind of echo Ryan's sentiments in terms of kind of learning from each other. I think we have a very open office, and we communicate pretty well in terms of what's working for us, what's not working. We have meetings regularly to kind of talk about that, and if somebody's kind of crushing a particular category, what's working for you, what are you seeing, what are you getting results from, and then we kind of bounce off each other from there. But
that's great, and that open dialogue in an office, I think, is really critical to make sure that you're not just talking about what are some of the challenges you're having, but celebrating the successes and unlocking some of those doors for your peers is really awesome, and one of the things that I've appreciated you guys from up close and afar. So that does lead into the next question. So one of the things, again, that I've come to appreciate your group is how you push to grow each other as salespeople, especially you guys who are those tenured reps. So this is a two-part question. What changes have you guys seen in sales during your time in Indianapolis, and how have you worked to adapt to those changes and continue to become better and better salespeople along the way?
This is Garrett. I'll take the lead on this one. When I first started, it was a lot more like lead list driven, single game leads, and then now a lot more self prospecting, business journals, newspaper articles, just getting as many leads as you can. New businesses relocating to the area. John and Ryan really had a handle on the large companies when I came in. So I concentrated on where the new companies were moving to. In our area, it's Fishers and Carmel, two suburbs. So now I have a large account base there. But then, more phone calls when we started. Now it's moving to emails, LinkedIn, Sales Navigator, and texting. So it's really the full gamut.
So Garrett, real quick to jump in on that, why do you see a self-prospected lead now as a lead that's more valuable than a past ticket buyer?
Well, I think it goes back to you're more invested in it, and as a sales rep, you get more out of selling that lead that you kind of cultivated and grew from the ground up, as opposed to somebody that called in or somebody that got passed over to you that's done an outing in the past.
Yeah, and I think that the mental side of that is important. No one here is saying don't call past ticket buyers, but it can be really hard. There may be the CEO of a company in your past buyers list, but you don't really know. Whereas you know what you're aiming for and you know what your target is for the self prospect, and that thrill of the hunt really does bleed into the sales process. So that's really good.
Yeah, and we're trying to get in a better habit with LinkedIn and using the internet of finding more information on who we're calling. If you pull up the company, make sure you're contacting the right people on each call. So then that way your call is just not a number; it's actually a quality call, and make the most of it.
No, absolutely.
This is Garrett again. I would say a lot more done through emails too now. So if you really want to have a good list of season ticket prospects, we're full menu, so the suite prospects, the large group prospects, and then when seats open up close to the field or a prime suite date opens up, we have a target list of 30 to 50 people that we can email blast really quick. So instead of calling 10 to 15 people, we can shoot that out and have the seats sold and the suite sold within minutes usually.
Yeah, then it's a great point, because a lot of old school managers or directors are really fearful of those email blasts. But a lot of times, if those are your customers, the agility of being able to get that type of information out quickly and putting some urgency around it can be a real last minute sales driver or just a good sales driver, period.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, one other along the same lines and the same question. One of the things I wanted to mention, some of the changes that we've seen is that, especially in my tenure since it's so long, originally you're working with the same group leader who, if they have a good experience, it's a real easy call the next year because they had a good time, they're ready to book, and it's their decision and they're ready to go. Whereas now, the last couple of 2 or 3 years, we've seen more companies forming fund committees or, activity committees, engagement committees, and those kinds of things, where now you've got several voices in a committee making determinations. So we're trying to determine if that is, how that's affecting groups choosing us. If one person is planning and they're comfortable with it, it's just an easy planning process. Then boom, 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 every year they're ready to go. But now everybody's bringing ideas to the table, and it becomes harder to make a decision, and everybody wants to pick their event. So we're trying to determine if more companies being involved in activities has affected our groups or the decision-making process.
Yeah, and it's good. I mean, like I said, I enjoy the cross collaboration you guys have to be able to identify these things as problems and challenges. and then working as a group to try to make sure we figure out the best possible course. I love it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're trying to find out, and we're doing a better job of asking to join those committees. Like when they're going to introduce the Indians, say, hey, we're the professionals. We can be there for you. If you have any questions while we're there to help you answer. So we're trying to get out in front and get to be a part of that committee, if that makes sense. So.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. So the other thing I was going to tell you, you're just trying to talk about, like, how do we push each other as salespeople?
Yeah.
Like, some years we're having good years, some years we have bad years. Like, bad years, you sit down and look to see what went wrong, where your strengths were and where your weaknesses were. And we'll just call numbers too. And that's inside sales it's a numbers game. So we've adjusted call numbers. We've even gone to kind of more of a structured day where we'll have 3 different power hours throughout the day. And then we've set up some emails and prospecting throughout the day during certain times. We just started doing some huddles before the call times, and we'll challenge each other on how many calls we can make in that 45-minute to an hour time frame. And we've seen a lot of success and kind of the competitive nature come out in our reps with those huddles. And so those are some things we've changed. And after 10 years, things you're still doing to challenge yourself, and I've found great success in that.
I'm a big believer in the Kathy Burrows school of huddles. I think those things can be pretty consistent drivers. How often do you guys do those huddles? And can you describe just very briefly what one might consist of? Because I'm sure some people may just put their arms around each other and stare at each other for 10 seconds.
Yeah, so it definitely took a couple weeks to get going. As you mentioned, Kathy Burrows was here in the off season, so. But yeah, John usually leads the way with that. He kind of huddles us all up. Our call session starts at 9:15, so about 9:10, and we say, hey, this is Garrett, and hey, I'm calling group renewals today. I'll do 15 calls, and then something that Ryan and John kind of started is any calls that you're short, you do 5 push-ups at the end of that hour. So. We're trying to work on our fitness as well.
And you guys can speak to this a little bit, but that personal accountability keeps you from getting off to a slow start to a day, right? Because one of the common problems of sales is you come in, you return some emails, you may make a couple return phone calls, do some busy work. Oh, hey, there's Twitter. And all of a sudden it's 11 o'clock and you've made 5 calls. And then all of a sudden you're like, well, today is written off, and you keep moving on. Those huddles, the challenging each other to get off to a good start, that really does set the tone for a big day, right?
It really because the afternoon is such an unknown. It never fails that something crazy happens in an afternoon, and so
yes,
getting that good start just provides the groundwork. Absolutely.
Yeah, and we just started a couple weeks ago and went really well. On a Friday we challenged ourselves to close 20 groups that day. And I think we closed 23. And that's the first time we've ever done anything like that. And so we're looking to do more things like that. If it's, hey, how many accounts can we move along today? And trying to set some small goals throughout the day. Anything you can set up for yourself like that and challenge yourself, it's only going to make you better.
No, that's awesome. I love hearing that. And so, that brings us to the next question a little bit. You guys all sell minor league baseball in a pretty crowded marketplace in what some would call a mature stadium in sports business now. How do you guys get people to choose the Indians, especially on the B2B side?
This is Garrett again. I would say it goes to painting the picture of the experience that we can provide here at the ballpark. The Indians have done a great deal, like Ryan said, the last 50 years, branding ourselves as Central Indiana's #1 summer entertainment destination. So people kind of know that. That's kind of ingrained in the community. And then we can paint that picture to our corporate clients of what an event might look like. And we've also positioned it as, they might have Colts tickets or do an event with the Pacers. What are you guys doing in the summer? So it's a great addition to the other sports teams in the market.
And And I also think, I mean, I'm kind of a believer that you can help people and guide them into the right fit at your stadium and what was going to help them for what they're looking for. You can be the professional on that side. But when it comes to convincing, it's always hard. I mean, you can do some of it, but the things you can control is provide good customer service, get back people properly in a timely manner, and then just provide that A-plus customer service just like you would want for you. And once you do that so many times, you start getting a reputation of like, man, they're easy to work with, they're great to work with, their ballpark facility's clean, nice, it's affordable, central location. There's a lot of good things working for you, and that's why we do so well with it.
Brett, one of the things, this is Jonathan, one of the, we work with our clients through the sales process. So once we book, we don't send them along the way. We work with them the entire way through. So then we're calling when they finalize their event, and all the way through. And I think that's helped cultivate and allowed us to build relationships with those people over the years. So whether they're booking a group year over year, or we build the relationship to where we can now start talking about season tickets and suite events on top of their company outings. I think that's been huge for us.
So, you guys talk about painting the picture and growing the account. A lot of that time it means talking to them about what are some of the competitive advantages that you guys have with your stadium versus what they might find in the rest of the marketplace. So what are some of the competitive advantages that you guys talk about with the Indianapolis Indians? Because I always think it's important for especially younger reps who might listen to this, who don't really know what a competitive advantage is or how to use it or talk about it.
I think one of the big things about us is that it's a very easy planning experience. We're very easy to work with, and so the very easy planning experience and affordable options are both big.
No doubt. Sorry, go ahead.
This is Garrett. I would say our cross-selling opportunities have been really big for us. So we might have a suite or a large picnic group that has never even thought of season tickets. So getting those large accounts to get season tickets, or vice versa, from season tickets to a large outing, they've never even thought of that. They can kind of keep all their eggs in one basket. And a lot of people like doing that, working with the same people if they find that easy. It's like a safe zone for them.
Yeah.
So we can help them out all along the way. There's a lot of different products that we can do by full menu selling here.
So a couple of you guys have mentioned cross-selling right now, and I can't begin to tell you how used I think that is in professional sports. When I was with the crew and we saw a ton of corporate growth, a lot of that came from people that we upsold or cross-sold. We made a real effort at it, and that's a lot of where our growth came from. So, how do you bring it up? Like, if you're thinking about it in the sales process, for a company that did a group outing, how do you bring up season tickets? Or a company that's got season tickets, how do you bring up doing a group outing? Because a lot of times I think young reps have this fear of, if I ask them that, they're going to drop their seats with me or not want to do business because they're worried I'm going to oversell them, blah, 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 blah. How do you do that?
Yeah, to me, it's something as simple. One of the things we do is as simple as you're emailing them about their company outing, and getting everything set up on their reservation. And then a lot of times my last paragraph is, hey, one last thing. We've worked together on this outing for a while, and that's great. Have you guys ever considered a ticket plan with us? Do you know about XYZ? We have these great seats available. We haven't really talked about it before. If you're interested in more information, let me know. Yeah. And that is spurned. I've gotten such a good response from that over the years with groups. I get a great response from that.
And we've taken that to the merchandise side as well. One last thing, we have these great customizable T-shirts available. And then from the season ticket side to one last thing, have you guys ever thought of a company outing? So John was really leading the charge on that, and it's really taken off. I think that's a great reason why we've seen our season ticket sales growth just skyrocket in the last 4 years.
It's really a mantra. You know, it started off as that, but now like one last thing in the office means like don't forget to ask your clients, you know, what else they could do out here.
Yeah, I love the one last thing. You know, I think if someone's willing to make a commitment to work with you and you demonstrate value to them, you've earned the right to be able to ask them to jump on board for something else or try something else. And you as a salesperson, right, just have to be comfortable if they say no, right? That's a totally fair solution, and it doesn't cut them off from doing business again with you in the future, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. One thing I learned very young in the profession was no now doesn't mean no later. And so I kind of live by that.
And you guys can tell me this, but one of my favorite surprises something you brought up to someone that didn't work at the time, that's always one of those emails you get 3 months later that's just like, hey, remember when you said this? We're ready to do it.
Those are always hilarious.
When they reply to your email from 5 months ago.
Yep.
So, sorry, keep going.
Yeah, I was going to say one more thing.
One last thing.
One last thing. The other benefit we have, I know some sports industries is a turn and burn, and we've been very fortunate here at the Indians that they value our tenure, and I think it's really helped on the sales side of building relationships with our clients.
Absolutely.
I've been here 10 years. After so many years of guiding them in the right directions and having successful events, even if they don't do it every year, when you do make a recommendation, such as, hey, have you guys ever thought about having a manager's meeting here on suite level? We do a lot of those. They will take you serious because you built trust with them, and you can put recommendations out there and then see that grow, and they actually take you up on it. So I think that's a big benefit for us here at the Indians in the tenure, is that we do build that trust with our clients.
Sure. And I'll morph this into more of a sports business question that hopefully we can bring back to a sales question. Each sport faces some of its own unique challenges. And, one of the challenges baseball's facing right now is, even though as a college baseball player, it's my favorite sport ever, and it kills me to hear, but like baseball's dying is something you hear. So, is this something that you're seeing or hearing when you're out selling? And if you are, what are some of the ways that you guys have worked around it positively?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of opposite here for us. We more so sell on our atmosphere and summer events. So we don't sell basically on the team. A lot of people just, they don't even look at the standings. They couldn't even tell you if we won or lost when they leave. They're just here for their company outing, whether it be employees or clients, and that experience that we've built is why they come back. And we've led all minor league baseball in attendance last year, in overall and average. In the past 3 years, we've been towards the top, if not setting Victory Field records in attendance. So yeah, we really haven't seen that problem.
And that's kind of an attitude on your side, right? Like, you have to walk in believing that that's not a problem and that's not an issue for it to not be a problem or not be an issue. You have to be at least somewhat conscious about having the confidence to go past it, believing that what you have has more value than what the problem is, right? Unless that's being way too essential.
Yeah,
that's correct. I also think that if you look at Major League Baseball and all the young talent, I mean, I feel like the game's in a good spot. I'm a baseball fan in general.
No doubt.
I feel like baseball's in a good spot with a lot of young talent in the league.
Yeah. Listen, I'm a Yankees fan. Our whole roster is 24, 25-year-old kids who are just jacking home runs left and right. So trust me, I firsthand, I get that more than anything. So, yeah, go ahead.
And we are lucky because we don't sell the product that's on our field. And that's one thing about professional sports. They focus so much on, do you have Andrew Luck at quarterback this year or not? Like, we don't have to worry about the players. We just sell the experience, like Garrett was saying. And I think that helps out a lot.
Yeah, so go ahead. Go ahead.
Yeah.
This is Garrett. A lot of teams, articles that you read, more back to your comment of baseball dying, is the season ticket. The season ticket is dying, and that's completely different over here. I don't know if that's our mindset, but we've had unprecedented season ticket success in the last 4 years. We're currently over 2,000 full season tickets, and from our AGM, that hasn't been hit since the mid 2000s.
That's incredible. And I mean, I think that mindsets that you guys have, that we're bigger than this challenge and we're better than this challenge, is so important, because, you know, at the end of the day, I agree with you about the way, not even just Major League Baseball, but a lot of times, sometimes professional sports position themselves. But shouldn't each salesperson, regardless if they're selling for a low A baseball team or a team in the NFL, shouldn't the experience always be the first thing that they sell, as opposed to what the brand is or the organization is? So if that organization ever goes through a backslide, those fans will come back because they prize the experience over the athlete.
100%.
Absolutely.
I'll give your audience a tip of the day. On our season tickets started changing a little bit. We talked about email blasts earlier. You said some people are scared of email blasts. We have done more email blasts on our season tickets. When first 5 rows open, we'll send a picture out, and it gives our fans and the buyer a visual of what they're buying. And once they see that image of Victory Field in the background and where their seats could be, they jump right on it. I'm telling you, it has been a game changer the last 4 years for us on the email blast and actually sending the image of the seat that you would purchase.
Whether there's snow on the field or it's a sunny day or raining, it really paints the picture to them.
I love the thoughtfulness and the creativity there, and I think it gets to a bigger point that, you know, if someone's taking a 30,000-foot view of the conversation we're having right now, you know, I think one of the things that a lot of people really struggle with in sales, especially in sports right now, is the mix in terms of how they go find sales every day. And I think a lot of young reps are just really confused by, well, I'm supposed to do social media and make phone calls and have people to the stadium and sell prospect and send emails out, and it becomes so overwhelming that it actually detracts from, you know, them just going for it and doing stuff every day. You know, how do you guys balance, where do you go to make sales and find sales? And again, you know, that's one thing I like about you guys, is just how proactive that you guys have been. How do you guys think about that balance?
Brett, I think I speak for all of us when I say we struggle the same way trying to find time for all of those things, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
And it goes back to what Ryan said earlier, setting up those different call times, because, I mean, let's face it, as much as we don't like it, everybody in sports has a call minimum. So those call times help us get those calls out of the way, and not that we don't value calls, but then it sets up our day to other things like the email or prospecting on LinkedIn, or texting. We set up an email blast, Ryan and I did, and had some success with those season seats. Got the other reps on board and sent it out one Friday, and combined, we sold over 100 season tickets in one day. So it can happen.
I mean, you gotta eat your vegetables to so you can eat your ice cream, right?
Yeah.
So that was awesome. So, yeah. So go ahead.
Every day is a tornado once you get into the season. I mean, it's the same thing that every athlete does. The off season is the most important. So you have to lay the foundation in the off season, or you don't have a chance. So we've moved up, like the last games in this early September. We start taking reservations a week after the last game. So it really has turned into be a full-time, year-round job.
It's awesome.
I know it kind of sounds crazy, but you have to lay that foundation in the off season, and that's how you breed success.
That's really critical. So it's a great transition to the next question, because, you know, to your point, you know, minor league baseball seasons are short, but they're super, super intense. During that time, most specifically, how do you create a real positive work-life balance during them? And then how do you find some of that consistent success in the long off season?
This is Garrett. Speak with Ryan. I mean, we both have families, so it's really important for family time. So what my wife and I have done is maybe taking short trips on the weekend that we don't have homestands, or bringing the family out to the ballpark. But as a sales culture, we've started doing different things just to try to get out of the office. Like the month of May is huge in Indy with Indy 500. So last week the sales team got out and went over to the Motor Speedway for an afternoon. And in June we already have a golf outing planned for the sales department. So it's just trying to switch things up and stay fresh while also trying to take all your tasks that you have for the upcoming homestands.
It's awesome.
Yeah, and it is. When you start in sports, you know it's going to be a lifestyle type job. That's just what sports is. Hopefully, you're married to somebody that can relate to, like, can adapt to that. But really, it's just balancing your time, and we all like success and making sure we're hitting goals, and we're mostly driven by goals, and that's the culture we have. So everybody makes sacrifices, both our wives and families, but we do also, and we kind of know that going in. You just have to accept that. If you don't, it's just not a good fit for you. But the Indians have done a really good job over the years. We just started this year getting some games off, which is fantastic. They comp a day during the month. Every month that we have a game, or every month we're in season, we get an off day. So they do a good job of trying to. They understand that work-life balance is something that's needed.
That's great.
Yeah, anything to add to that, John?
No, well, yeah, like you mentioned, like Ryan mentioned, something we started new this year was trying to, organization-wide, trying to get our full-time staff a day off during a homestand here or there when it's appropriate or when we can. Because years prior, we've been expected to be at all 72, 70 home games, and that can really wear on you. So we've done a good job of our department heads of trying to get something, a program in place to get some of our full-time staff a night off here and there, and it's very much appreciated by the staff.
That's awesome. And I think, I want to push into the second question I asked a little bit. You guys have, so unlike what I've experienced a lot in soccer, which are incredibly short off seasons, you guys have a pretty long off season. So how do you, I think Ryan, you talked about the consistency that you need to have in that off season. How do you guys do it? Because that is a long off season and then a short sprinting regular season. So how do you make sure that you're starting the week after the games end? That's crazy for how long the off season is. How do you maintain a good intensity throughout that whole off season?
Yeah, I mean, we do take a month off of having goals, but then we start right up in October of having weekly goals every week. So something that we're trying to push towards. But over the last couple of years, we've really strived as a sales team to get more of our accounts in early, knowing that we get those season ticket renewals in the first couple of weeks. We get our large suites and picnics in and get them booked. That's just less off our plate that we have to do the rest of the season. That gives us time to hunt the bigger fish out there and do more self-prospecting and really bring in that new business, and sets us up, like Ryan said, the more you do early on, they might not be thinking about it in November, December, first starting out, but then in March, April, when they're starting to put something together, they're giving us a call back. So that's really led to a lot of our success, I would think.
That's awesome. Well, cool. This is my favorite question to end the conversation on, and I think it's important, when people take a look at, guys that have been as successful, as tenured, as the three of you are. So, the last question is what drives each of you?
So this is Jonathan. So I've been here, I think this is my 12th season, I think. And so that's a question that I ask myself a lot after being here this long. Brett, I'm guessing you probably haven't heard of a lot of people that have had that kind of tenure.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm driven by a lot of things. First off, I want to do better each and every year. I think every year I know that there are some things that I've left on the table, and I just want to continue to grow my business. But second of all, I work with a department that does really well and coworkers that do really well, and so we compete against each other. So I want to I struggle to do this, but I strive to sell season tickets like Garrett. This year, one of my goals was to sell suites like Ryan. And so it's just, it's always pushing yourself to, so what drives me is doing better than these guys.
And we're always trying to sell as many corporate hospitality picnics as John.
But it's all categories: season tickets, group tickets, picnic tickets, suite tickets, everything in between. And so there are a lot of things to compare yourself to.
And that's a beauty that our assistant GM Matt Gay at the end of every year will get together, and every rep has strengths and every rep has some things they struggle with. But when you put everybody combined, we overall hit goals, and that's the beautiful thing. Like, we're all selling a la carte, but there are some reps that do better at some things than other. But when you mix them all up, we make a great team.
And being part of a successful team is fun, right? I think that's what gets missed by a lot of teams who hit goal and then crack the whip turning around the next year is, you need to spend some time celebrating that success and, yes, pushing each other, but, making sure that you create an environment that people want to keep coming back to.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. If we get something big in, if one of us gets something big in, we're all congratulating everyone. But then those other reps are like, man, I need to get something big in because John just got something. Or if we lose one of our deals, our other reps are the first ones there to kind of console us, I guess.
Yeah. I'll piggyback on what drives you. I just always been I've been a baseball player for all the way through college, and you go 3 for 10 at the plate, and that's success. So it kind of relates pretty well with sales because you're not going to close 100% of them. So I've always just strived to be successful, and it kind of goes with what John was saying. You want to be accepted by your peers, and so it kind of drives me. And the older I get, being accepted by your peers and doing well doesn't mean always hitting your goal, but it means like doing things the right way. And so that kind of what drives me is being the best rep I can to my clients, being a good person overall, and just trying to have some success with it.
And it matters that you're doing it for something you're passionate about, right?
Correct, 100%.
Well, that's good. And I think, a lot of credit for all the positive things that you guys have said do certainly go to Matt and Chad, who I know we mentioned both a couple times, but I want to make sure that I say it there too. A lot of this, doesn't happen by accident or coincidence. So, organizationally, those guys deserve a lot of credit.
I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, Ryan, Garrett, Jonathan, I genuinely appreciate the time. I think people are going to absolutely love this. And I think it's a really good look at, this is going to sound tough for a lot of other people, but what an organization should sound like and talk like. I think a lot of people are going to take a lot of heart to hear the way that you three interacted and how you answered questions, and it's something I've always been impressed by. So, guys, I genuinely appreciate the time.
Thanks a lot, Brett.
Yeah, appreciate you asking me, and hey, I'm glad for your move. And congratulations on the is it engagement?
I'm married now.
Congrats. Congratulations.
Thanks.